How is everyone doing today? And in this video, we are going to be talking about the top mistakes that a lot of players are probably going to make when Wuthering Waves starts. And you don't want to fall into these kind of situations because, as you may know, when every other gacha game starts, usually there's a bunch of things that a bunch of players do that end up messing themselves up for the future, where they can't invest into characters, where they can't clear content, and we want to stay far away from that as possible. And also making it so that you have an easier time when you're playing Wuthering Waves. So if you're excited for all of this, and also for Wuthering Waves also coming very soon, make sure to leave a like, sub, comment, all that different type of stuff, and let me know which character you're most excited for when it comes to summoning on them on your account. But let's go ahead and start with the first mistake that you probably don't want to make when it comes to being in Wuthering Waves, and that is make sure that you unlock your dailies on day one, because for the most part, as many other gacha games, and I'm 100% sure when I was in the beta the last time Wuthering Waves was open, the dailies did go ahead and give you the XP and also went ahead and gave you gems as well. And getting the dailies on day one usually isn't too hard for the most part. It usually takes a little bit of time to get to the portion where you unlock them, but they will give you XP and it will give you the currency that you need to be able to summon on the banners. Now, the reason why this is important to unlock it on day one, it isn't the craziest boost in the world, but it does put you in a better spot when it comes to getting these levels. And the higher you get your level, well, that means the faster you can get to the end game content. Once you get to the end game content, you're able to get more gems or more of the currency that you're able to use to summon on, and this allows you to go ahead and get more characters, more weapons, and overall get to play more things as time goes by. This isn't a crazy mistake for people to make. Some people shut off the game before it gets time to the dailies and the next day resets, but if you want that slight edge on everyone else, make sure to unlock your dailies on day one and play a little bit longer until you see that book of assignments come out, and then boom, you got your gems and you also got your levels. The main thing I do want to talk about as a mistake, which this one's a pretty big one that a lot of people don't want to do, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be a drag at some point because everyone has their life for the most part, and it gets a little annoying to be able to micromanage something in a game, but you 100% do not want to let your stamina cap. This is something very important in many gacha games where your stamina is something that you're going to be using to be able to get the resources that you need to level up your characters, to be able to ascend your characters or the weapons, or even echoes or grinding out echoes. There's just so many different things that you need when it comes to this game, and especially looking at how long it takes to build out a character in Wuthering Waves, you do not want to miss out on any of the stamina accumulating on your account. And this is also a reminder that we do not have a replenishing type of gauge or some type of delay gauge for where we get to stockpile the stamina that we ended up losing for it overcapping. We do not have that in Wuthering Waves at the current moment. So any stamina past your max cap, you end up losing, and that's basically free resources that you're basically throwing away, and also free level up or XPs. So you don't want to have that happen to you. Make sure to dump all your stamina as soon as you are able to when you start Wuthering Waves, and make sure you keep on top of it every single time you log in. Try to log in once or twice a day to be able to basically finish out the stamina, and then go ahead, get your resources, and call it a day. That's all you need to do. Make sure you do that. Gets you farther in the game with the levels, and also allows you to get more resources, which is very important in this game. Now, the next thing is for my lazy people, and I am considered one of my lazy people because for the most part, when it comes to exploration, especially for the open world games, a lot of people get burnt out or tired very quickly. And this is something that is going to help a lot when it comes to Wuthering Waves, which is make sure when you're running around the world, of course, when it comes to the story, side objectives, or anything like that, make sure to kill every enemy. And also make sure if you see an exploration objective, go ahead and do that too as soon as you see it, because there might be a time where you end up looking at it, you're like, I'll do it later, or I'll grind these enemies out later, and then you just never come back to it. Especially when waypoints are a thing in the game, you don't get the chance to really go out and grind the world as you would. You would just teleport from where you need to go every single time you need to go there, and you kind of miss out on those resources or those chests or the enemies that you need to grind out because you're teleporting from one place to another. So might as well get the grind out of the way. Go ahead and do that chest, go ahead and do that puzzle, go ahead and fight those enemies before you end up not coming back, and then you're just gonna wonder, where are all my J's, and you won't know where exactly you're supposed to go grinding unless you go to the interactive map, which is a good tool. Also, that is something you should be looking out for if you are going to be chest grinding or gem grinding or anything like that. We do have an interactive map from Kuro Games, which is absolutely amazing. Now, one of the craziest mistakes that a lot of players make in gachas, especially which is going to happen in Wuthering Waves, is that you do not want to invest in more than 3 characters at the very start of the game. And the reason I say this is because at the start of the game, usually it feels like you have a plethora or a great supply of resources when it comes to leveling mats, ascending mats, and anything else in that area. But the problem is, it might be that way at the start, But as you know, as time goes on and you get higher in level and you ascend them to these higher levels, they take a lot more resources than they did before, especially from those big jumps on the few last levels from 70 to 80 or 60 to 70. There's going to be a lot of resources that you need to dump into certain characters. And if you start throwing all your resources at everyone you have on your account at the start, well, later down the line, when you have to push your main 3 that you're using to clear all the content and you have no resources, you have no stamina, it's going to put you in a really bad situation where you can't get them up, you can't get anyone else up, and now you can't clear content, which is going to make it so much harder. You have less health, less attack, making the enemies hit harder and making it so that you hit less. So you really want to make sure that you don't ever run into that situation where you have no resources. Pick a main DPS, pick a sub DPS, pick a buffer, and then call it a day. Use that team to clear everything. Try to level up your DPS as much as possible because they will be putting in the most work at the very start of the game, because they will be carrying you, doing the damage and everything else. Just make sure level up the DPS, level up your 2 other characters on that team, and only level them until it's time to get to end game, where you will need 2 teams, and that's where you level up another 3. And if you figure out what team you want for those 3 as you play your game and as you see characters that interest you, level up that next pair of 3 or that next set of 3, and that's all you have to do. Level up 6 characters at the very end, level up 3 at the start, and you'll be fine. If you try to over diversify at the start, you're going to be putting yourself in a bad situation for resources when at the end of the game, or when you're done playing the end game and all that different type of stuff, then you will have the allotment of resources to be able to have fun with the game and be able to play a fat ton of different characters, which is what you want at the end. So try not to invest more than 3. That is a big mistake a lot of players make when they start the game. And also, to add on to that note as well, there will be weapons and echoes, of course, you get on your journey. I'm 100% sure that these aren't going to be a pivotal part of the game yet. At the very start of the game, where everyone's going to be starting with, is going to be the same as every other gacha game, where you can kind of wait till you get to the farther levels in the game with the world level and get the higher tier echoes, the higher tier weapons. And this allows you to go ahead and put some good resources into those, because same thing goes if you're trying to level up a 3-star weapon and it just doesn't go well for the most part. Well, you can't really do much besides feed that weapon into another weapon, and you don't get the full amount of resources that you wasted on that one put back into the other weapon. So you really want to make sure that you don't overly invest in weapons and echoes super early into the game, because you probably won't need it for the most part. Just slap on some echoes that have some good set buffs, slap on a weapon that has the right scaling or some good effects, and call it a day. Now, the last thing I do want to point out is something very important with the gacha system, that, well, this is money. This is your currency. You only have a limited amount per patch, and this is something that you do want to make sure that you're dealing with when you are summoning, which is don't pull for characters that don't make sense for your account. Now, I do want to say, if you enjoy a character a crap ton, if you love their design, something like maybe Yin Lin, well, go ahead and summon for Yin Lin. The thing I'm saying is that for this game, as I said before, as the game starts very, very soon and you get a lot of different characters, you're going to want to build your shiny new characters. But try not to over invest into everybody you're pulling, or pulling so many characters that you don't know what to do with any other character that you probably invested in previously or that you will get in the future. Say you end up getting Yin Lin and Jian and you have Kaokoro, you have 3 or 2 DPSs with the sub DPS. Say the next character is a DPS. Well, there's kind of no content that requires you to have 3 DPSs on the team at the current moment. You already have your main DPS, which is Kaokoro. You have Jian. You have Yinlin, which is support. Jian probably has his team. And then, well, what is that other DPS is going to do? You'd probably be better off waiting for a support, waiting for a sustainer, or anything like that. So make sure you kind of take into account and look into the future. What exactly you need for your team? Am I dying too much? Maybe I need a shielder. Maybe I need a sustain. Do I need a little bit more damage? Maybe pull a support. Or I don't have enough damage. I don't have a character that does a cool amount of damage. Well, then maybe look forward to a DPS. There's a bunch of different things you can look to when it looks at the future investment of your account and what really cool things that can come in the future as Wuthering Waves ages on as a gacha game. And also, onto that note, if you are very excited for all that type of news when it comes to discussions, guides, showcases, all that different type of stuff, make sure you leave a sub, like, comment, all that different type of stuff, because I will be covering Wuthering Waves. And then the next thing is, let's try not to build pity in this game. I think this is a subject that a lot of people forget to preface, because I know a lot of people for some reason like to build pity. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and summon on Jian's banner for a little bit until I have enough to get Yin Lin, and then when Yin Lin comes out, I'll get her in one multi and we call it a day, only for them to get Jian halfway through their summoning session, and then Yin Lin pops up, they lose their 50-50, and now they have no more currency. You really don't want to do that. Wait till there's a character that you really like, and once that character comes, summon on them solely. There's no point in building the pity to make it to where it's a little bit easier somehow to get that character. Just wait for the character to come out. You'll be fine. And then lastly, I think this is a big note for everybody playing this game, is to take your time playing the game. This is going to be a slightly difficult game when it comes to the Genshin counterpart, where that game is slightly easy when it comes to the combat they have in the game, and this game is going to be requiring you to dodge perfectly, requiring you to parry characters on time, because if you don't, you get hit by a massive amount, losing a lot of your health, and that could be frustrating at some point. So sometimes make sure to take your breaks, make sure to go ahead and process the situation, which is, what am I doing wrong, why am I doing it, and then correcting it. There's no point of beating your head in your monitor just because you can't beat a boss. Either come back stronger than you were before, or try to process what's getting you killed and why you are getting killed. So other than that, that's going to be the mistakes that you kind of don't want to make, and the early tips you want to keep in mind when it comes to starting your journey in Wuthering Waves. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Always in the video. See y'all guys in the next one, and peace.